Right. This is hopefully the third time lucky. My goodness me. So just to explain, my dog started going crazy because someone showed up at the house to start cleaning the windows. I sit down, then obviously the first room that they start on is this one. So I've got some dude out the window just over there, just going whilst I'm trying to talk to you guys. So hopefully now my connection is strong. The connection is strong with me, and I can actually do this. So I'm going to go from the top. Okay. Very, very quickly recap what I was just saying. I watched Jake Norman do two horrors last night on Mini Terrain Domain, Matada, and he did a fantastic job, I feel, with portraying the Tomb of Horrors as it should be. Old school, threatening, and hilarious. Okay, those are the three pillars that I think should be the driving factors of running Tomb of Horrors. Like I said in the previous stream that I was doing, I had the pleasure of being involved in a 3.5 game of the Tomb of Horrors, which was crazy, absolutely crazy. And because it's crazy, because it's a nuts dungeon to go through, you can approach it with a certain amount of levity. Like, you don't invest so much in the characters that you're putting into it, unless you're doing the other old school thing, which was the Tomb of Horrors was sort of like the rite of passage of your character. If you were particularly pleased with the character build that you had, like I did, you test them by putting them through the Tomb of Horrors. So like I said, I'm not going to spoil anything about the Tomb of Horrors because it should be something that is played. Like, it isn't something that you should... Well, if you want to watch it, obviously I'm not saying you shouldn't watch it, because obviously Jake Norman has obviously recorded it for his channel for people to watch. But if you really want to do it, which I would advise, maybe give watching it a miss and experience yourself. But like I said, I'm not going to be talking about what's in it at all. Like, you should definitely just do it for yourself, unless you don't think you're ever going to play it. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm not here to talk about anything to do with the narrative of Tomb of Horrors or the challenges of Tomb of Horrors. I'm here to talk about the challenges of actually running a dungeon online. As I was saying before, we use Google Hangouts as sort of the default in this community in particular. Now I'm aware that there are things like the Roll20, and there's lots of tabletop virtual sort of sims out there where you can, have a dungeon that people can all see on a map in front of them whilst they play online. But I was thinking with the fact that most of us use Google Hangouts, let's have a discussion about how we can sort of explore dungeons with a bit more ease than just falling back on theatre of the mind. I think, like, it can be done, and I think Jake did like a really, really good job of it. Like, I think it was, like I said in the previous stream before I got cut off, like, it was a genuinely good attempt at putting across like the mood of Tomb of Horrors and giving really clear, accurate descriptions as to what's going on in the situations that they're in. Yeah, it's weird because we obviously, a lot of us play Dungeons and Dragons online, but we don't often have that many dungeons in it because of the limiting factor of Google Hangouts. So I'm here to talk about what we can do about that. But first of all, I can see that there's a few comments. A few people have joined me. Locrius, my man. Locrius says, my brother. I tell you what, like, I'm not going to spoil what happened or anything, but you've got to be really good to try and stop Locrius. Locrius is a genius. I've said it before. Locrius is a genius when it comes to like the spell casting and his choices of spells, and how he narrates them and how he puts them to use. And there is more than one opportunity in this where Locrius did something really, really incredible. It takes more than the Tomb of Horrors to stop Locrius Planetoid. My goodness me. Let's see. It's weird. I'm holding the phone. horizontally. So if I upload this onto YouTube, then it will, it won't be like the portrait mode or whatever, but it does mean that I don't get to see the comments as clearly. So let's see. Jacob Norman has joined. Hey man, I'm just talking about your game. I know I tagged you in the post, but that was 3 live streams ago where I was being interrupted by people. My dog was barking. Finally, there is solitude. Finally, there is sanctuary from the chaos of the outside world. Hey man, Jacob Norman says, no spoilers. Dude, I've started this by saying that I'm not going to be talking about anything that happens in the Tomb of Horrors, like it's something that should be experienced. So you don't have to worry about that. I'm not going to spoil your game. Wimsamanga joined. Hey man, how's it going? Ian Christensen says, I played through it a year or 2 ago. It was intense, but our whole party made it through alive. Wink, he says. Yeah, I made it through alive in the 3.5 one, and I think that's partly to do with the fact that when I went into the Tomb of Horrors, I was my Sorcerer Valdane that I used throughout 3.5, and by that point Valdane was, I can't remember what level he was, but he was a very high level, and I was so used to using him, like I had like a caveat or like a strategy for most situations that could be thrown at me. So yeah, like, I did pretty well, but other people that went into the dungeon with me didn't so much. Yeah, and there's some crazy stuff in there, like, you've got to remember, the thing is about Dungeons & Dragons in a magical world, there are some things that are far worse than death, and that is what the Tomb of Horrors presents you. Jacob Norman says, the man who ran it last night and did an incredible job, says, it's a super challenge to run online. I'm going to run it for 2 groups at home. I plan to do a video discussion afterwards comparing experiences. Yeah, man, and I just saw, Jake, you replied to my comment. I left some feedback on the Mini-Terrain Domain channel, and yeah, I would love to talk to you about that at some time, man. Like, I think it's very interesting, the difference between running online and at a table. I think the benefit of running at a table is obviously that you have the grid, you have it all in front of you. You're not having to put so much energy into your descriptions because you are able to assemble it or draw it out in front of your players. And that is something that can be taken for granted online. And if you're not using a tool like a tabletop sort of program to see what you're doing, then yeah, it can be tricky. Jake then goes on to say, I already think before you run Tomb of Horrors online, watch this video maybe in order. I agree, man. Like, I think that's a really good idea. Like, and I don't think it should just be for Tomb of Horrors either. Like, obviously Tomb of Horrors is the thing that brought this up because that was the dungeon you were running, but I think it's challenging for any dungeon. Like, I kind of think that, I mean, I haven't done this with Lawkeepers yet, and Lawkeepers has been my only online game that I've really run other than a few one-shots. And I've not really done anything dungeon-like, any kind of structure they go into or anything. Like, I kind of narratively explain how they're, like, moving through and stuff. Like Riverbreak Keep as an example in the 2nd episode of Lawkeepers. If I was, and I will get to how I would approach running a dungeon once I've got through these comments. Ian Christensen says, I don't find it limiting at all personally. What is it you find that makes it challenging exactly? Ian Christensen, what I mean is that running an actual published dungeon online, without the aid of maps or anything. You're just going by sort of theatre of the mind description. And I think it is. I think it is challenging. Personally, I don't think it's limiting. I don't think I said it was limiting anyway. If I did, then I didn't mean it. I just think it's very challenging. I think it would be incredibly challenging because with a dungeon crawl in particular, you're having to move through corridors, clear them out, retreat back on yourself, go through a myriad of different tunnels. And if you're not careful, that can become very overwhelming. So that's what I'm talking about. Alexander Kosick says, sup Rob, hey man, how's it going? Jacob Norman says, I've got to run back to all-day sales meetings. I have to catch the rest of this later. Yeah, man, by all means, watch this. We'll have a chat about it sometime, man. Like, I think that would be a really cool thing for us to do at some point. Take it easy, have a nice day. Locris then says, Jake, you did a really bang up job of setting the stage. It's got to be a nightmare trying to find those, describe those rooms, but I felt like I was there. Yeah, like, and it was really well done, and there were a few points where the players were throwing Jake a few curveballs as well. Again, I'm not going to say how, but where it was clear Jake had to sort of like, sort of think on his feet quite a lot. Which obviously, as a dungeon master, he's probably used to, but when you're dealing with a strict layout of a published dungeon and you're trying to remain true to that, that can be, tricky, especially when you're not able to just, show the players a map. And that's the other thing. Do you show the players a map, like, of the actual dungeon? I mean, I'm a big fan of, like, the fog of war, when drawing out dungeons in real life. Like, I will only draw on the map a place that the characters can either see or have explored. Like, on the tabletop grids, I will draw it out on my dry wipe battle grid or whatever. So yeah, that's how I do maps when I'm in person. Like, I think if you handed like the players a complete map of the Tomb of Horrors, I don't know, they wouldn't have a map of it, would they? Like, it would be giving them information that they wouldn't have. And obviously, you can trust your players to not be metagame about it, but at the same time, you could base strategies on things that your players would have no knowledge about. So it's pretty tricky. It is tricky. Now, I think it's easier in terms of dungeons that, aren't sort of published ones where you have to, stick to the plans, as it were, stick to the blueprints. I think if it's a dungeon of your own design, you can design your own dungeons that work better for Theatre of the Mind. And you can deal with a lot of the exploration of a dungeon narratively. Like, you can say that you move through a number of rooms, discovering naught but rotten rags and broken weapons hanging limply in shattered racks that are lined across the walls. You move into another room and you see what appears to be a makeshift kitchen, and in a bowl in the corner there is a vile stink permeating throughout the room as there is rotten meat left there. Like, you can sort of walk people through rooms descriptively rather than you saying, what do you do next? And then the players say, well, they're going to go into this room. And then, okay, this is this. What are you going to do now? Are we going to this room? You can sort of gloss over a lot of the details till you get to your encounter rooms or your role-playing scenarios, which is easier, I think. So maybe there's a way of adapting sort of published adventures to that form, perhaps. Now, I wouldn't say that that's something you should do with all published adventures. Like, I think Jake did the right thing with Tomb of Horrors. You have to keep your cards close to your chest with that old school kind of gaming. Like, it's a thinker's game. You have to be a strategist to survive. Like, that was the point, the point was, it was to challenge your dungeoneering expertise. So Jake was doing really well by giving them only the information that the adventure, deigns to give you. And the players have to take it upon themselves to make the right checks. A lot of the time with the Theatre of the Mind stuff, we kind of spoon feed the information so we can keep that narrative flow rolling, which is a play style that, we have chosen, and I particularly enjoy because it makes it a more seamless experience both to play, but also to watch on my channel. Like, it's something that I like to pay close attention to, as to what is it like to watch the Lawkeepers. That is a part of the challenge for me. That's part of why I really love that it records onto my YouTube channel. I want this to be something that is entertaining to watch as well. So what are your thoughts on that? And how would you guys go about running published adventures, or just dungeons in general, online, considering we all play Dungeons and Dragons, but avoid the dungeons a lot of the time? Ian Christensen says, here's what I do, courtesy of the advice and lamentations of the Flame Princess books. The party is responsible for... Oh no! For some reason, it's done that thing with the comment where it's cut it off. I have that the party is responsible for making and there isn't any kind of like see more option. Hang on, I'm going to turn my phone, so I'm going to go into portrait mode. I didn't want to do this, but oh no, oh no, oh no, no, that's not what Why won't it turn around? I'm sorry, Ian, like it won't let me see it. It won't let me switch. That's really embarrassing. It won't let me switch. I see I missed the comment as well. Ian, maybe try posting that comment again and we'll see if I can read it. I do apologise because I am very interested to see what your thoughts are from Lamentations of the Flame Princess. I'll quickly read Alexander Kostik's comment that says, let them have a piece of parchment with a drawn map from some possibly dead adventuring group and change the dungeon as your player characters. And again, that comment is gone as well. What's going on? This has just been a bloody disaster today. Like, I'm going to try one more time to make it turn. Nope. Turn! This is a joke. This is an actual joke. You know, I try my best to make sure that it's, you know, horizontal so it won't be sort of like the portrait thing, so when I put it on YouTube so it's better to watch. But no, my phone won't let me do that. That's a piss take, as is a common phrase here. So that is a shame. But to answer you, Alexander, I think that's a good idea. That's a good way of doing it. Maybe there is some people that survived the dungeon before that managed to get out and have some kind of map. Maybe you could use that to your advantage. Maybe that a map could be given, but it was a map that was drawn maybe like 200 years ago, and now the map isn't accurate before because this dungeon is old, you know, parts of it could have collapsed and stuff, so routes might have changed. It might have collapsed into an open cave network, and there's like a whole extra bit that isn't on the map at all. So you could play with the information that you're giving to your players as well, which would be quite a nice touch. The other obvious thing, and it's a very old school D&D thing, something I remember Brandish, Hankering for an Ale did whilst we were doing Matt Click's The Tomb That Walks game in Harbinger. And I was so happy because I hadn't seen someone do it in ages, but he actually got like a piece of paper and was drawing the map as we go. And I was like, yes, that's fantastic. It's such an old school sensibility, and it's really, really good. It shows that people are showing an interest and that they want to be, you know where they're going, like make sure that they can get out and stuff. And it's something that the player has to do on their own initiative, you know. It's something that they have to, you know, commit to doing. And yeah, so that's another solution, I suppose, is that, you know, one of the players could make sure that they could be drawing maybe on some kind of software that everyone can see it whilst we're playing online, perhaps. Or just making sure that they're making a drawing in front of them so that they can then keep a track of the layout and let the other players know and things like that. So those are good ways of combating that. Ian Christen says, if they have a map already, then I'll screenshot the map and send it to them via Messenger. Absolutely, like that's a good way of doing it. Like, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it could avoid an awful lot of trouble if you just gave them the map. But at the same time, one of my favourite things about characters going into dungeons is that mystique, that fear of not entirely knowing where you're going to be going and what's down there, you know. And I think that kind of gets slightly neutered by the fact that you then go, this is everything in the dungeon. this is an exact layout of everything that you're going to find down there. And you're like, oh, okay, fine. You know, but I guess it would make it easier. So is that balance? Where do you find the balance? Now, I saw someone was probably watching this and saying, well, just use some online software. But I find sometimes that can slow the game down a bit. I don't know, from things that I've seen anyway online. I don't know, like, and that isn't the kind of play style that I prefer. But You know, it's viable. Like, I think it's a viable thing to do. Maybe it would be really cool if all of us in this community banded together to make our very own software. Can you imagine that? Like, what a product that would be if Absolute Tabletop were able to put that together. Part of their, expanding products list is that there's an Absolute Tabletop online software tool, which essentially is like a better version of Google Hangouts with all of the dungeoneering tools, all of the dice roller apps, all of the, that would be wicked. Absolute Tabletop, if you're watching this, get on it. Like, it's an easy thing to do. And like, I don't know, I hear James is pretty good with computers. Maybe he might be able to pull it off. Alexander says, gosh, darn it, Lan. Is that a comment for me missing your comments? I do apologize. It's blame my phone, I guess. Like, I'll probably be able to see it afterwards and I'll be able to respond. I'm trying to make it turn around again. It's just not working. Goodness me. Locris says, yeah, we definitely should have mapped it. Yeah, but at the same time, Locris, like, if you're not, used to it, like, it's something that sometimes I wouldn't have thought to have done that, like an online game. Maybe I would have done it, like, if we were all sat around a tabletop, but, it's not something that we do, all the time. I think it depends. And also, there's a lot going on. Like, you have a lot to worry about, especially in Tomb of Horrors. Like, there's a lot going on that you need to sort of keep track of. As it is. So, Ian Christensen says, that's basically what I do, and I've run a lot of published dungeons online. There you go, then. Ian Christensen's got all the answers, guys. He's got all the bloody answers. Balance is almost as lame as easy. Wink. I don't know what that means. I'm not one for balance, personally. I'm someone who throws krakens at people at level 5. Obviously not without help, but there we go. Locris, someone with the experience of Roll20 here, it seems. I did not know this. Locris says, I've played through dungeons. I play through Dungeons of Roll20. It definitely has its advantages, but the software can easily become the focus of the game instead of badass role playing. And again, it's cut off the comment. Hopefully, that was the end of the comment, Locus. But that's I think what I've seen from games that have used Roll20. I have seen that where people are kind of drawn into obviously ensuring that they're looking at it. I don't know. This is the thing. I can't comment because I have never used Roll20. Maybe I should. Maybe I'll give it a go. Maybe I'll try running a dungeon using it. If I can get it. I don't know. Don't you need like an invite to do Roll20? I'm sure there's some weird kind of thing that you have to do, like like joining a secret cult to get Roll20. Maybe it's free. I don't know. Like I'm not sure. I'll have to look into it. Ian Christensen says most of the answers, maybe. If you say so, mate. If you say so. It's a tricky one, isn't it? But I thought it was interesting, and it was, I thought it was an interesting topic of conversation to have with you guys, and I have nothing but respect for Jake running it. Like I liked that he stuck to his guns. You know what I mean? Like he didn't spoon feed at all. He described the rooms as said in the book, and he didn't let up, and I thought that was great. Obviously, a completely different style to the narrative that we're kind of used to. The narrative sort of free flowing, and I thought it was great. Like I thought that's like classic, and they ran into some situations that were very classic D&D. And I just really enjoyed it, and I felt inspired, and I wanted to talk to you guys. Locreus says, nah, it's free. I'll run something for you sometime, brother, man. Locreus, my goodness me, I'm going to hold you to that. I want that in black and white. Well, I guess I have got it in black and white on this comments thing. It's I would love Locris for you to run me something. I have often wondered, I have dreamt, I have looked into the stars at night and wondered what it would be like to have Locris DM a game. I've never seen you run a game, man, and I know you will absolutely kill it. I know it would be incredible. So yeah, I'm going to hold you to that. Maybe if I can make you run something for me in my own setting. No, forget that. I want to know. I want to be in a Locrius inspired setting. You'll have to tell me about your setting and stuff, man, because that would be wicked. So that's about it, actually, guys. I mean, I know I didn't really come along with any answers, but it's something to consider. How this can be dealt with. And I guess me and Jake are going to talk about this at some point as well. So look out for that in the future. I'm probably going to do another live stream later. I feel like doing another one. Like, I feel like making some more content. Lloyd was talking about duels last night. And I've had some thoughts about duels that I want to respond to him about. So look out for me later. I might be talking about duels. Because I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of duels. But yeah, so look out for an online stream later. In the meantime, if you're watching this on YouTube, maybe give it a like. If you'd like to see more like it, then give me a subscribe. Or not, we're all friends here, or are we? Take it easy and hope that all of your performances are up to standard.